Debu now threatening the dive here onto me. He was already burnt that flash. He goes in. The ultimate comes through as well. Yona gets the first kill, the second kill.
Excel fishing for the engage.
Teleport and Destiny used. The back line has been accessed. Gold card charged up by Hatrix. Magnet Storm lands onto 2. Big Monsoon to break him up for the moment, but Quick Time will lose his life. Bullet time over the wall. Marcoon just annihilating M-Test. It's a double kill for Deadly.
They could be caught out here.
He is. There comes the hook straight into Outlanders. There's the ultimate coming in from Galio, keeping him alive, but First Blood is there. The big hook into the volley pair. It's a monster brawl around the dragon, and Riddle absolutely tear it up. Brilliant cleanse coming up from Ore. There's a lot of damage coming through.
Baron's half health already. Touch is going to have to do some work. Going in for the knockup. The Ragnarok's been used. They're jumping in. The barrel is stolen. None of it have done it.
And save yourself from getting locked up. Random goes to the 1v1. Welcome everybody to the NLC. My name is Excoundrel, and on the desk today I'll be joined by Gulborg and my fellow wing pilot Foxdrop over there on the right hand side. Of course, we've got lots of great games. It's our final week of regular season, so there is a huge amount on the line. And of course, before we dive in, we've got to say thank you to our sponsors, MasterCard, El Giganten, and Telia. And before we get into the real details of today, I want to make sure you guys know that you can get involved at home over on social media. You can go to any of our social media channels, NLC LOL, and you'll find us, and you'll be able to get involved in this ridiculous RP giveaway. I mean, we're literally, it's free RP. Just go onto the social media channels, get involved with the Player of the Day vote, and you could have the chance at winning yourself a ridiculous amount of RP to spend on skins. Guys, final week of the NLC regular season. We have plenty of games that mean a lot. I kind of want to get your thoughts about where we are, anybody to keep our eyes on. Maybe like one to watch this week for both of you. That would be a really interesting thing to hear. So Gulborg, any team that you think that we need to keep our eyes on, like the one to watch for you?
I think for me, I've been thinking a lot about Dusty, just because that they're a team that started out so slow, and we were talking about, wait, is this team like even going to make it out of groups, or not out of groups, but away from relegation? And now they're in the contention for playoffs, so that is something that I'm looking forward to this week.
Yeah, Dusty's a great answer because they're also on a 2-game winning streak at this point, so they're playing up against BTXL today. I've actually predicted them to win that game as well. So I'm expecting some spice out of that game. That's going to be fun to watch. I'm thinking, honestly, like, Group A in general is really close. And yeah, I just think it's really hard to call who's going to make playoffs in general. Like, literally, you've got top 2 teams, Tricked and BTXL, and then every other team is tied. You know, I have no idea who's going to come out in playoffs out of Group A. It's going to come down right to the wire.
And the thing is, not even Tricked, even though they're sitting at 5-3, is confirmed for playoffs yet. So, like, we literally only have one team that's confirmed for playoffs, which is BTXL. On Group B, on the other hand, like, 3 teams already secured playoffs, and there's only 1 spot left.
Guys, I have a question. Did you intentionally style your hair the same way? Because you do look like...
You know what's funny? Before the show, Gulborg said, right, I've done something different so I don't look like Foxdrop. I won't just be like Foxdrop today. And I was like, I've done something different, so who knows? So there we go. You can't escape, Gulborg.
Because you actually
you
look
can't
identical.
escape your shadow.
You actually look identical, and it's hilarious. Okay, so let's have a look at our standings. Let's take stock of where we are in our groups. Division A, obviously, as you said, Gulborg, only 1 confirmed team in that playoff spot, which is BTXL. Even Tricked are not 100% safe here, although clearly it would have to be catastrophic for Tricked not to make a playoff spot at this point. It'd be some sort of like lottery level luck going against them. Of course, we have 4 teams tied at 3 and 5 across the board. So this is an absolute banger of a group to round out this season. Everything on the line, every game counts. This is important. Obviously, we've got to look at Group B. It's a little bit more set in stone, but that doesn't mean that we haven't got a race on our hands either. Fnatic, Barrage, and Singularity are all confirmed at least a playoff spot, and there is a little bit of a contest for both a playoff spot and avoiding relegation, specifically between Kova and Riddle, realistically, for that playoff spot, and obviously then M&M vying to keep themselves out of relegation towards the end here. So this is definitely going to be a bit of a spicy one. But in Group A, we have 4 teams tied at 3 and 5. One of those teams is a team that was very new to the NLC, came in with a bang, and that was Granite Gaming. We took some time to talk to them, so let's have a listen.
locked down and shut down. It's a double kill for Michigan.
Coming from the Romanian scene, I think the competition is much bigger here in NLC. It's really fun, I would say. It's really fun.
Well, apart from that 1 week where I played, well, special, I think we stacked up really well and we like never really lost bot lane. So I think like we're, as a bot lane, really strong in the NLC, even compared to others, even though they might not rate us.
Cleared out, the laser beam's coming down, and Legion's actually chunked out, gets caught himself out for the moment.
For those who are supporting us, I would like to thank them because they believed us even though many others didn't. And for those who are still adopting us, I would say that you should watch.
I talked to these guys for 45 minutes and I got like 3 quotes, including one from the manager who got to say about 2 lines the entire thing. Anyway, Granite, obviously one of our contenders for Group A, and they are, I think, a team that will throw some curveball this week. And actually, something that you didn't hear in that video that they did say during the interview was that they have got something planned in how they're going to tackle this week. They are coming in with something different. They are looking to shake things up a little bit for this final week where every game matters. And something that I talked about the guys off stream, I asked them the question whether they had European Masters in their sights. Dr. Chaos literally bit my head off. He was like, is that even a real question? Like, of course we have European Masters. No one at this competition should be coming in if they don't think about European Masters as a goal. So, do you know what? I take that. Absolutely. I will take that. I will swallow my pride on that question because realistically, that is the drive that you want from a team. That is a drive that you want, and especially a team that maybe not a lot of people have confidence in. It's super awesome to see Granite sort of going in with that level of confidence. And they play today, I believe, Nordavind in our second game of the day. Speaking of, let's have a look back at last week briefly. We do have some highlights, which I think is worth reviewing before we head into today's games. And of course, starting off with that Barrage M&M game.
Yeah, Barrage and M&M was... It was a tough time for M&M. It was a very dominating game for Barrage, and we had our questions about Barrage mid-split, but it's like they kind of shut those questions up, gave us an answer that they are a really clean team at the moment and definitely a team to be reckoned with. So utter domination from Barrage for sure.
Yeah, and Dusty, one of the most, probably the most improved team that we've got here in the NLC. Considering their start really poor, you're seeing them here bring home that dub against Granite. I think, honestly, as a team, all in all, they're just finding what works for them. And to be honest, being able to find your stride, if you're going to do it, this is the perfect time to do so. And I think, honestly, even outside of just these teams, these are 2 teams as well that everyone's got their eyes on because those playoff spots, they're not easy to get. You know, you might look at it and think, yo, there's 4 teams, 3 and 5. You're going to get some playoff teams. It doesn't matter who it is. We don't care. That's these teams right here, 100%, like you said, Scoundrel, with EU Masters in their sights. Every single one of these teams wants to make it EU Masters, and you can't do it without making the playoffs first.
Of course, BTXL, the only team that has secured a spot in Group A there. I don't think anybody is surprised by that. BTXL had a strong roster coming into this split, but I can't believe we've got 4 teams at 3 and 5. I mean, not only is it playoff spot, I know I talked a little bit about the positives, but everyone's also in danger of being in a relegation spot at the end of the week as well. So you've got this big dichotomy between playoffs or relegation, and we're all at the same score right now. It literally could be any of those teams. So that is a massive 4-way race that will start to shape up as we get through those games. I did mention that Granite were playing today. Let's take a look at the rest of the games coming your way on our first day of our final regular week. Tricked versus Godsent. That is going to be a banger. Like this means a huge amount as well. This is obviously both of them at 3 and 5 in Group A. Granite versus Nordavind, exactly the bloody same. 3 and 5 in that group. The first 2 games that we have today are going to mean a huge amount in terms of the way that Group A starts to shift up throughout this week. Dusty versus BTXL. As Gulbug said, Dusty, he's keeping his eye on them. Up against BTXL will be a tough challenge, but of course, if they can get that win there, that'll be a huge win for them going into those all-important remaining matches this week. And then finally, we have M&M versus Singularity. I think someone might be able to confirm for me, if M&M lose that, they might actually be guaranteed relegation. So it's definitely a very tough game for M&M to have to take on at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, and I mean, they probably have the hardest road themselves. They have to win every game, and they're up against Singularity and Fnatic Rising, so you know that is definitely a tough journey for them. Moving on to today's match, actually, the thing is with Godsent that every team that they have played 2 times, they've equaled out the score. They have not been 2-0'd by a single team yet. It's only 1-1. And right now the score is 1-0 to Tricked. So, you know, statistically speaking, if we're looking at the other standings, you know, they might have an edge there. There might be some fate, some destiny waiting for them.
Yeah, and I think as well, like the games versus the teams that have better records. So if you're up against Tricked or BTXL, who's 5-3 and 7-1 respectively, I think those are kind of the easier games. Now, hear me out, because I may sound ridiculous because they're the stronger teams, but it's like there's no pressure in those games, right? Like the expectation is that you don't win those games. And the expectation is that you're going to go up against the other 3 and 5 teams, and then those are the ones that really matter. Those are the really important games. If you mess up there, it's hella donezo. So I think with that, with less expectation, less pressure, honestly, like squeezing out a win against those 2 teams, definitely something that I can see happen.
Yeah, I think that one caveat I would add to that is strength of schedule with 2 remaining matches left, like Dusty. They've got XL and then one other team. So, like, if you've already faced XL for a lot of these teams in the second half of the split, you might be thinking, oh, this might be a little easier for us. But if I just check who Dusty have got this week, Dusty have got Nordavind and XL to round things out. So, you know, if they lose to XL, they clearly have to beat Nordavind to have a chance. But, you know, a lot of these teams may not have to go through the big boys towards the end of the season. That might be a little bit of weight off their shoulders. Guys, obviously, we are heading towards that Champ Select relatively soon. Let's take a look at the predictions for today. Obviously, there have been some spicy ones. Tricked across the board for Godsent versus Tricked. A little bit of a split field versus Granite and Nordavind. Gulborg, you're faithful in Nordavind versus Granite, which I will get into in a moment. And of course, I'm going to have to ask Dan about why he went for Dusty over XL. But I'm going to come to you first, because you're the only Nordavind believer on the desk today, Gulborg. Why Nordavind over Dusty?
So right now, Nordavind... Yeah, I get you over Granite Gaming. So obviously that's a really close matchup, and Nordavind has seemed really inconsistent. You know, from going to beating BTXL to losing games against Godsent, it's certainly not something you can do if you want to get out of playoffs or get out of relegation and towards playoffs. I think that they're really good at playing opponents when the pressure is on them. Like, it seems weird, most team falters under pressure, but Nordavind to me seems like they're stepping up when they need to. And I actually just have faith in that they are able to play around the carries. We've seen sometimes that mid laner can be a little bit lackluster in terms of the pressure you get out on the map, but if you're able to obtain that pressure and actually snowball it towards Chrisberg, they do it really well. And I think they have the chance to do that today when you're against a hero who's not the most comfortable when you're banning out his key champion. So I think that's going to be a pivotal moment in the draft as well.
Yeah,
the case.
I'm just gonna cut your question and save you having to ask it. Dusty over
You knew where I was going. You knew where I was going.
I just honestly, like, so every now and then I get this kind of, like, I don't know, like, it's a little spidey sense, you know. Now 90% of the time that's not coming from up here. That's coming from somewhere a bit south on my body. But right now I'm feeling it. You know, I'm feeling it here. I'm thinking. No one believed in Granite, right, in their first game of the day, okay, or of the split. But I did, and they came out with that dub, easy peasy lemon squeezy. What was it that I?
No, Trouble
Barrage
did.
versus.
Trouble did. They played versus Godsent the first time.
Maybe
Trouble was the first one.
Okay, listen, you've ruined the narrative. Ooh,
I don't care. You can't make up the narrative along the way.
Barrage versus Fnatic. Yeah, if I say it enough, people believe that's all that matters to me. Barrage versus Fnatic. I predicted Barrage. Boom, sorted. You know, and I'm just feeling it. You know, it's like it's the zero expectation game. Dusty goes into it thinking, whatever. BTXL goes into it thinking, whatever, and then bam, that's where you get them. So that's it. In conclusion, Dusty's going to win.
I'm going to bring this a little bit further north, Foxdrop, so we can stray away from that area. And we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we've got our champion select for the first game.
me feel good. You make me feel good. Hearts run. You make me feel good. You make me feel good. Hearts run. You make me feel good. Here by my side, I'm in love with every little thing that you do. You're my paradise. As long as I got you, I know my sky will be blue. I know that you see me. I know you see me. The way that I am. Oh, the way that I am. Floating on a feeling. With no other plan. You make me feel good. Lost in the moment. You make me feel good. Hearts running wild. You make me feel good. Love like I'm falling. Know that I'm all in. It's you every time. You make me feel good. You make me feel good. Hearts run. You make me feel good. You make me feel good. Hearts run. You make me feel good. Lost in the moment. You make me feel good. Hearts running wild. You make me feel good. Love like I'm falling. Know that I'm all in. It's you every time. You make me feel good.
Don't look up, we're nearly in sync, but not in step just yet. When you time that look, you know this can't be second best. It's all in the timing. There's not a right way or a wrong way. It's just a short way or the long way. Get there together in our own way.
Welcome back to the NLC. We have a banger of a game. In fact, every game today is a banger of the game. I'm literally going to introduce that every time we come back. It's a banger of a game. This one is between Tricked and, I'm just going to get this right, Godsent. Of course, Godsent at 3 and
bangers, 5. He doesn't even know what they are.
Wow, what a banger!
Look, I'm old. My memory's not quite what it used to be. Sometimes I just need to refresh that, and you know, it happens. Tricked currently sitting relatively safe in the group. They are still not guaranteed playoffs, but it would have to be some sort of weird concoction of a series or an unfortunate series of events. That's what I'm looking for. It would have to be an unfortunate series of events for Trick not to make playoffs in this scenario. I'm going to let Gulbug with his hand up. Yes, sir. Go.
Yes, can I speak? So if Trick wins this, they are secured playoffs. So, you know, there's definitely something on the line for them. And as we've spoken about earlier, every game matters for the rest of the teams that are tied. Godsent 3-5, Dusty 3-5, Granite, Nordvin, the same. So all that matters right now for Godsent is winning, as it always has been. It seems like a dumb thing to say, but I just kind of have to reiterate that today.
I think we'll be reiterating that throughout the day. As you said, okay, so if Tricked win this, they guarantee playoffs. They're in playoffs for sure. That's a really big thing for them. Godsent, obviously one of the teams stuck at 3 and 5. If they lose this, that puts them in a fairly precarious position when it comes to either getting a playoff spot or, you know, potentially avoiding relegation down the line as well. So it is an important match for both of these teams. Group A has got a lot of this week. It's a little bit more set and done in Group B, apart from maybe some placements here and there in that fourth and final spot. But we're into Champion Select. As you can see, Nidalee, Olaf, Rel, and Camille have been banned.
Yeah, and important to know is that Godsent actually upset Nordvin last time as well. So Nordvin and Trick, two teams that were being compared to each other early in the season. So Godsent definitely on a high, and Trick losing out to BTXL the last time. And some of the things that Trick lost out to was great disengage that comes out from their dogpile compositions. And they play these comps really well, but if you can draft yourself good disengage enough for you to actually play these drawn out fights, there may be something for Godsent to make it work. And I think specifically for Godsent, we need to take a look at QuickTimer. He is the guy that will enable the rest of the team.
Yeah, QuickTimer got MVP, didn't he, like 2 weeks ago? I
yeah,
think it was. He was really good as a like, not necessarily as like an engaged support, but just kind of facilitating his team. So like, yeah, exactly. Like those kind of, I think they're quite high skill champions, honestly, and QuickTimer really made them look quite easy. So yeah, definitely keeping eyes on him for Godsent. This game in general, I mean, we're always going to be saying every game counts, every game matters, but you know, Godsent, the game after this is against BTXL, by the way. So if you are going to try and pick up a dub, it's probably easier to do it against Trick. Speaking of QuickTimer's godly like Bard and Thresh that we saw, they're going to actually take that in the first rotation, which, you know, might seem a little bit weird when it comes to kind of like priority of strength of picks. But honestly, when you see how QuickTimer uses Thresh, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and you can definitely pair it up with, like, you don't have to pick your AD carry here. You can wait to see if they want to opt into the Kaisers, and if they opt into the Kaiser, well, then you have the likes of Aphelios and Sire ready that has this kind of disengage or either peel back. So I like what we're seeing here from Godsent. It's totally comfort in the first two picks. We know Indecision loves to play around the pressure. You can get on the Graves, and if you can snowball that into neutral objectives, you're definitely keeping yourself in the game where you can draw it out and potentially have some late game win conditions as well. But Trick now with an answer where it seems like the Rakan is coming through, and it could be followed up by the Sire as well if you want to follow it up with the Lover spot lane. But I'm thinking Nilla has loved blind picking Gnar for so long as well on third pick. It's something that's really Trick to do, but I don't know if they've gone away from that habit now, or if it's something that they still want to go about.
Yeah, blind picking Gnar makes a lot of sense. Camille's off the board as well. It's going to be Paulson's Orianna instead. I mean, you can't really go much safer as a mid blind pick than Orianna. I'm curious as well. We saw a resurgence of Corki in the LEC, especially last week. What was it? Yeah,
Magic Felix especially played loads of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm curious, you know, whether that's something we might see a bit more of today. I would be very surprised to see it in this specific draft, because then you may as well draft Vayne top and just have like Quadra ADC comp with the Graves in the jungle and the Corki in the mid, which I don't think we'll be seeing, actually, funnily enough. But yeah, we're going to see
that's what we pay you for, Fox. Spot. That kind of level of analysis is what we pay you for, Foxdrop, honestly.
That's what I'm, yeah, that's fine. And I'm happy to deliver. I will keep delivering that.
So as Godsent right now, you know for sure that the mid laner is going to be Orianna, so you can just fourth pick your mid laner. So that is what Trick is going to be looking to banning, and then it seems like they're banning out Comfort from Nilla here in terms of what they know he likes to play, and then you get the counter pick as the top laner if that's what you're about as well. Another thing is that we know Zombie is really happy to play Mordekaiser just because it's his comfort he will always go to. So what I'm curious about is, will Trick continue down the mid lane path, which you would usually do? Or are you going to say, okay, we kind of respect Zombie on his Mordekaiser and don't want to go against that? So with Trick or with Godsent coming out with their last top lane ban, which I suspect could be Gnar, just because we know Trick likes blind picking it, then it is up to Trick to see where they want to take this draft. And no, it's actually going to be Sire.
I was going to say that as well. Like, I think there's two very compelling options here. Either you take away the Gnar, which I agree is like a very solid ban, or you just stop Zyra Khan going through, which is obviously a huge thing as well. So I think it makes sense. Honestly, either way, it's kind of like pick your poison. I wouldn't be surprised to see Nilla is going to have to blind pick his top laner here, go back to something like that Gnar instead.
We're waiting for this first pick to come through on the second pick phase here for Godsent. The Aphelios has already been locked in, as you said. Xayah banned away. It is going to be the Gnar denied. So the sort of the zombie blind pick And I think with the Aurelia up, I mean, Aurelia's up, right? Nile could play Aurelia here, and we know that Nile loves Aurelia, right? So
this is very bold from Godsent. It's a takeaway pick because, you know, realistically speaking, you would take the mid laner here because it's counter already, and then you take the counter afterwards. So this is takeaway, and it's so bold because as you said, X-Counter, like, Aurelia is, historically speaking, just one of Nile's most played champion. Ever since that champion got reworked, Nile's been all about it in solo queue, in competitive, and I want, like, you need to see some really respectful laning from the side of Zombie because you just gave Nile a field day in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm really not a fan of that, I'll be honest. Like, I think you set up the draft nicely to get a counter pick in the top lane, and you've given counter pick over on blue side. Like, that shouldn't really happen, I think. Yeah. It's a bit weird, and I don't even think, obviously, Nara doesn't do good into Aurelia. And it's just like, yo, even if Nida blind picks Nara, all right, just pick something you can lose gracefully on. Like, you've got Aphelios and Graves on your team. It's not like you're going to need much pressure or damage or carry potential from the top lane anyway. Like, you could easily just play one of those champs that you just sit there and just be like, all right, Nara, have your way with me, and I'm just going to chill and try not to lose too hard. But no, instead they've now given this kind of pick over. And if you know, this would be something we really want to we look back on in the draft. If this top lane gets out of control and say, Godsent, you numpties, what were you doing?
So yeah, it's that situation where we're gonna come out, wow, they really had this prepared, they're ready for it, or we're gonna be like, why did you do this? And I love the adaptation we saw from Trick because they still had that bot lane open and they decided to go with Sivir, a champion with spell shield obviously against Thresh, but also a champion you kind of weak side with, you wave clear. So when the Aurelia got locked in, all of Trick was like, well, we got the pressure in mid lane. Now we're just going to play for top side instead, and we put bot lane on something that's more facilitating in a team fight with movement speed and just wave clearing. So I really love seeing that adaptation out for Trick as a response to the blind pick now.
Yeah, I think, as you said, Godsent maybe went... my theory is that either Godsent had two angles on this, right? They either went, we know Nile is going to blind pick Nas, we take it away from him, or they thought he's going to pick Aurelia and we have a plan for that. So essentially, it's one of the two, and as you said, it's going to be basically a coin flip about what it is when we get there. But nonetheless, I'm excited to see this because again, it's important for Trick, guarantees playoffs if they get it, and if Godsent lose this, as Foxy and Gulbug correctly mentioned, it is a rough schedule. You've got XL after this, and you need these wins to ensure that you're contesting for playoffs and avoiding relegations. So an important match for Godsent. We have got Gulbug's here.
I'm here.
Hip Rain and Trouble ready to cast today, so I'm going to hand it over to them.
Cheers, mate. Thanks. I'm glad I'm not forgettable. Hello, and welcome to the caster desk as we're getting ready to go into our first game here of week 5. This is quite a spicy game because you want to talk a little bit about the bot lane in the sense that Godsent, you know, they got quick time as fresh, but then I'm like, wait, Nidhi just got his Aurelia. Like, there's so much spice that has gone out in this pick and ban phase. So, Trouble, I'm going to let you break this down from where you are right now.
It felt like last time we talked a little bit about Godsent, we sort of like picked them apart a little bit. We're like, we don't really know what they stand for. We don't really know what the strong lane is. We don't really know where they can hit from. And then QuickTime and Mtest completely emptied the opponent bot lane with the Thresh as well. QuickTime, I got MVP in the last play day as well, and he's got the Thresh right here, but the reply is in. You've got the Severa there, so it's not going to be very easy to kill her. Now, my concern mainly with the Godsent composition right here is that it feels like they're lacking damage, right? Because if the Graves goes towards like something like a shield bow or a bloodthirst just to be more tanky, yes, he's going to have more consistent damage, but he's going to lack the burst, the Aphelios until he gets there. He's also going to be lacking a little bit of damage, and you don't necessarily have a lot of AP damage going on either with the Galio in there. You basically want them for the roams and to sort of defend. And on the other side, if you look at Trick, they've got plenty of damage, the Lilia, the Orianna, and then you've got the 2 AD hard hitters with the Severe and Aurelia. I'm just really worried that if the Trick lineup just gets rolling, it's going to be really hard to stop them.
Yeah, it does feel like there's a really big snowball here. You've not just got to worry about the swirl seed flying down at you. It's just the snowball that Trick could have.
Yeah.
I do worry, though, if Trick fall behind in this game, they haven't really got a front line. And things like the Rakan can just get blown up instantly. A good hook by QuickTimer could shut Baloo down before he even gets into the enemy team. So it feels like, you know, there's a bit of a swings and roundabouts here, but I do agree. I think the core issue of Godsent right now, and the issue that we might see, especially around mid-game, is where's the damage? Like, who's actually going to be doing the damage? So I think that's what we got to keep our eyes on. If you're wondering why we're still on us, we do have ourselves a light pause, unfortunately. So hopefully be getting back into the game nice and soon. But for now, we just get a little bit more time to theorize and talk a little bit about this. I want to talk about this Aurelia versus the Gnar matchup in the top lane. Because for me, in my head, I was like, oh, probably just see a Gangplank, because we've seen a lot of teams lock in the Gangplank as like a soft counter to the Gnar. But actually making a bit of a difference here and actually going for the Aurelia for Nilly now.
I think you've got plenty of engage on the side of Trick. You've got the Lilia together with the Rakan. You can very easily set up for the Aurelia and the ball and the big Orianna Shockwave. And then you have the speed from the Severe coming in. So it's a really good all-in composition. I feel it would have actually been great with the Nat as well, but possibly they just took the Nat away from the hands of Nile, thought that maybe Nile was going to resort in something like an Aatrox, a melee, that possibly Nat can counter. And there's not necessarily too many counters to the Nat. It's literally possibly the Jace, the Queen, you get the Aurelia up in there. She's just too dusty, which Nat doesn't deal very well with. He likes more of the more immobile sort of bruises in the top lane. So Zombie might actually have a bad time in the top lane, but I'd like to see that lane specifically be camped from the side of Godsent, because they need to shut down the Aurelia early, because once she gets her first item, they all spike so beautifully on that first item, because the Gnar will just not be tanky enough. No one else will be doing enough damage from the side of Godsent. So if Trick want to accelerate, they might as well take the fight on the first item.
Yeah, got a bit more time, unfortunately. There are still issues going on. I'm kind of racking my brain. For me, it's like, I think the kind of proof's in the pudding in this game. It's going to be down to the execution, and I feel that Trick have a little bit more of a wider execution bar. Let's talk a little bit about the Sivir lock-in here, because it's something we haven't really seen so much as of late. A lot of the teams are kind of focusing more on the things like the Kai'Sa, the MFs. There's been a really wide pool of champions.
Yeah, the reckless disease is like spreading like wildfire.
Everyone's going back to the Sivir. Looks like our issues have resolved, and we will be getting back into the game. So finally, we get to see actually how the execution is going to go down in this game. For me, yeah, I'm really curious about how the Sivir is going to do here, because when I think of Sivir, I think of, you know, like the 400, 300 CS win conditions. Just wait till you get 6 items and carry the game. But we are into the game for our first of the day. This is Godsent versus Tricked. See how this is going to go. Are Godsent going to struggle from a lack of damage, or are they going to be able to pull ahead and just blow up the squishier members of Tricked?
30 seconds until minions.
They are, if I'm not wrong, on a 2-0 win streak so far. And Tricked have not been extremely persuasive lately. So there is a chance for an upset right there. And as you mentioned, Baloo is going to have a really hard time with quick time around to try and get these engages down the bot lane. Actually, he's going to be fine, because he does have the shield. But the setup is there for the Graves on every single lane. You've got the Galio in the mid lane, you've got the Thresh in the bot lane. So you could be able to try and get that Graves snowballing ahead if you're Godsent. On the other side, I don't really see a lane where Lilia can actually walk in and try and kill someone. Galio will be unkillable. So my eyes literally fall onto the Gnar on the top side. And I think Nile is going to be the key for the early game for Tricked.
Well, we did see a little bit of an invade come in from Godsent. They just placed a ward down on Flipper's red. Flipper starting up on the chicken camp, and that ward will spot him out if he goes to the red after this camp, which he most likely will do. So they'll have a little bit of knowledge of where Flipper is on the map. Indecision on the opposite side, so maybe he could go for a late invade onto that blue side if he wants to try and deny a buff. However, I do think it might be a little greedy. So Flipper's actually just going straight towards the bot side here.
I mean, they're going to see that it reset because the ward is obviously still there. But he tried to play the switcheroo, wondering whether when the ward will just run out, so they won't be able to tell. And they actually won't, but they do have an estimate, right? Because the ward will run out, but they know that there's still a red buff to be taken, unless he completely ignores it, which it wouldn't be wise because it would sort of mess up his path thing. Yeah, he has to take it now, so the intel will still be there. The ward just ran out, but they do know that he's just taking the red buff, so they'll have the time for it.
I think the pings actually went down. They figured out exactly his pathing, so Flipper, they have eyes on him, even though they don't.
Did you see the 1, 2, 3? It was like raids, golems, red buff. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, and Indecision's not going to go for any kind of contest. He's just going to continue to clear downwards himself. So, just farming jungle for the moment.
Yeah, well, this is the name of the game until the next patch hit, right?
Yeah, well, I can't wait actually for some jungle changes.
Yeah, true.
I'm so bored of this. Jungle deciding games. I'm tilted, I'm joking.
How you know?
Meanwhile, in the top lane, there is a pretty significant lead getting built up by Nilly. Now, a massive wave is crashing into Zombie, so he should be able to kind of alleviate some of that deficit, but I mean, not really. And Nilly going to hold the recall, just going to teleport back to the lane, bought a Doran's sword on the base, and just a nice cheetah recall, got himself a 9 CS lead at the moment, and is going to get a big wave to crash in, so Zombie really suffering early here.
It's really tough because you know that the Lilia also started bot side, so she is going to be playing towards the top. That gave Nila all the freedom in the world to know that his jungler is playing towards the top quadrant, so he is able to push. And they knew that Graves starts red, so he's going to end up at the bot side, but Silk trying to crush that wave before it freezes. A little bit unfortunate right there because Indecision is backing right now, so Silk is in a really hard situation.
Yeah. Nilly will be able to keep the CS lead going here as the wave crashes into tower. Relia very good at clearing out these waves with her Q. Zombie, passive stacked up, and Zombie's just going to get a bit of a chunk out from Nilly. Nilly sells corrupting potions, though, to chug away on, so even though the trade actually looks like it was even, Nilly will be able to heal back up, and Zombie not really got too much healing outside of that grasp right now, and obviously does have a bit of life still from the Doran's sword.
Ooh, what Nilly did there was absolutely genius as well, because he engaged into this fight to try and freeze his wave. So not only did he take an advantageous trade, but now Zombie is really worried because he knows Lilia was in the mid lane. Now he's going to start making his way up top, and his lane is frozen in front of Nilla's tower, so there's nothing he can do. He has to be extremely cautious right here, because as you can see, Flipper is also on his way up.
Yeah, Indecision might have to make his way up as well.
Oh no,
this
wave is brutal.
This is so rough here. Zombie just kind of getting a farm a couple of minions with his Q, and that's it. Nilly's got it exactly where he wants it, and now got some jungle intervention coming in. Flipper going to miss out on the bowling ball as Zombie jumps away to safety, and the wave is just going to remain here. Nilly's going to be able to pick all of this up uncontested, and the CS deficit is just continuing to grow. Godsent, though, looking to try and make some plays towards this bottom side of the map, bringing multiple members over. Quick timer, a uncharacteristic hook from him. I think that's fair.
Because it missed?
Yeah.
They're pinging down there as if they want to dive. The Galio is level 5 though. I don't know if that's the move because Lilia is extremely fast and she's already on her way down bot. They might be able to catch Indecision.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a Sivir, so the wave actually goes down fairly quickly to the ricochet. So the wave they had built up for the dive melted before anyone was in position, and there was a Lilia about anyway. So honestly, I think the Sivir saved them from dying there.
That is so weird. So Indecision had all the time in the world to start this dragon way beforehand. Now it makes it a little bit dangerous, even though Trick are not going to contest it at all. Lilia was up top, so they had a 4-man advantage down bottom, and they still didn't start the dragon. Still a little bit late macro-wise, but Trick did not want to pull the trigger there because you don't want a 50-50
Hold on. This is Nilly. He has to flash away. Zombie is just going to fight first blood. All that for a cannon, not worth. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Indecision jumps in. Baloo's ignited. One more whip, and he will go down. Actually able to survive as it times out, and now Flipper makes his way forward. Looks to put 2 to sleep as they are burning down. Eep, watch out. Flipper is here, and he finds himself a double kill. Quick timer gets himself one on the return to Baloo, but now he is caught out inside enemy territory. No chase is going to come down. Quick timer will get out alive.
And that went so well for the side of Tricked, and Paulson was one of the reasons why this happened. He kept Silk locked in the mid, so Galio could not ulti. So again here, you said, is a really a counter to nah? Well, maybe, but if you overdo it and you try to freeze the wave over and over and over again without your jungler around, you're gonna eventually get punished. Right here, they see that they don't get the kill and they actually grid. Flipper is there to instantly punish, push the sleep down. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, they are just not allowing Silk on the Galio to go down at all. This should have been a completely different fight had Paulson not walked down that river to stop the Galio.
Yeah. It's also like, don't overextend, but don't queue into a Mega Gnar for a cannon. Like,
right?
And next to a wall as well. Like, it's just, in what world is that ever going to go well if you're
He's done it 2 times so far to freeze his wave, but then his jungler was around. This time his jungler was not around.
Yeah, I honestly, Nilly played this lane pretty well right up until that point, and then it was a bit of a questionable decision. Zombie's going to have this wave now stuck outside his tower, getting a bit of revenge, but Nilly able to deal with that. And the wave actually will stay stuck here for a little bit as Zombie's making sure it holds. Chu actually able to clear through this wave fairly quickly. Pretty much expected on that front. And Godsent actually moving Indecision and Silk towards the bottom side of the map. Chu has the on the hunt. Blue actually, because he died and was away from the double kill. Yeah, so they may just have to give up a couple of plates here, as their jungle is on the opposite side of the map.
Exactly, they're definitely abusing the fact that Flipper is on the top side of the map. They're trying to keep Achu away from the farm. One thing that Tricked has been doing so well with the bot lane is that they pick these oppressive bot lanes, hold on. They pick these oppressive bot lanes that always have extra push in them, and this is exactly what Severe does. He just doesn't allow you to push the wave, so by pressuring Achu further back, you can manage to get your Achilles ahead, get him to spike, get these mid-game fights. Like we said, Trick was going to most definitely win on that first item spike.
Yeah, he got himself 2 plates for free off the back of that rotation, so really nice stuff, even though there wasn't a kill. Just honestly smart play on the map from Godsent. As take a little look at the gold. The gold's dead even right now, 2 kills apiece. Individual golds, that's where we can also have a little bit of a look. There's a 100 lead for Zombie in the top lane. The jungle and mid is kind of what's keeping Trick in this right now, as Zombie needs to be careful. Flipper has the Rift Herald, and he's going to make his way forward, getting bored. Lands himself everything he needs for the sleep, and Zombie, you are flashless, you are stunned, you are locked down, and Nilly will find the kill.
That was so beautifully done right there. Extremely patient by Flipper, waited for the boomerang to go out, because Zombie wanted that CS so bad. And once the boomerang is down, once that slow is down, they just all into him. And Nile can get all the free farm in the world. He's almost 30 CS up. He's got the experience up. The Nut is definitely going to suffer, especially since this is a stride breaker now as well. He's going to be extremely squishy to begin with. So that Arella will be able to punish all the time. The reason why Godsent was able to pull that 4-man bot is because Zombie actually had pressure after that 1 kill. Now it's dead even, and even further towards the side of Miller.
Yeah, it really is. And honestly, they're getting really pushed out here though on the bot side. Achu down a level to M-Test. Blue only just ding level 6 there. They've lost 3 plates to M-Test, and M-Test now just got a lot of gold to work with. He's got the Culverts closing in on being finished. There's the Noon Quiver and the attack speed boots. It's a little scary if you're bot lane right now. So some love needs to go down towards there to see if they can get something done about this. Otherwise, Sivir is going to struggle.
At this point, I don't think you care too much, because Sivir's is going to be mainly your speed bot. You do care, though, about getting the top side of your map ahead, and Nile, together with Flipper, are doing absolutely amazing. That Aurelia will be very close to that 1 item, and right now they're going to have to start contesting for that dragon. You see all teleports are up and available. Galio has his ultimate to join as well, and I just want to see if Trick will choose to pull the trigger right there, but because of the back timers, Godsent have the dip on that dragon again, stacking 2 of them.
Well, it's also the fact they have so much pressure bot side as well means there's not really any way for Trick to contest this. As we zoom out and actually take a look at where the warding is as this dragon falls, there's a lot of red wards going through the jungle and very few very shallow Tricked wards further up, as Achu actually walked over a ward, was spotted but didn't actually see it himself. And Indecision, he just lives bot side now.
I mean, you play for your lane kingdom, right? M-Test and Quick Timer have been doing amazingly well lately, so just make sure to keep them safe. You see that the Galio starts moving as well. They're trying to choke out that bot lane. They might actually dive.
Yeah, well, Paulson's actually getting interrupted onto Silk, but he gets a lot of damage thrown into him. Indecision, chunked out by some tower shots here, as holding that quickness. And I think with the fact that the Galio got called away and the fact that Flipper was starting to show, they do decide to step away from this play as Flipper, I don't know if he was seen as he stepped out there. Blue's just going to clear out the vision.
It's just really hard to die if you can't have your Galio. All the M-Test alone.
Yeah, they're going to throw everything in onto M-Test to try and keep him alive. They get themselves a little bit of something off. The Moonlight Vigil lands. The Gravitum locks free down into a 2-man taunt by Silk. Flipper jumps in onto M-Test, puts 2 members to sleep. Achu is still alive. Flipper is still alive, but the collateral damage finds the shutdown. Here comes the teleports. Here comes the backup. Paulson stepping forward. There's the flash. There's the Vanguard's edge. The snare lands in. Nearly gets himself one. The shield. Everybody is thrown back. And this is Godsent ripping through the Tricked members. Paulson, no shockwave, no teammates, and nowhere to go. He is going to get sent packing. This is a Godsent win.
Again, Godsent through that bot lane, managing to pull through on that team fight. That was so beautifully done. Trick stopped the opening right then. They just couldn't do it. Indecision, hello?
Oh!
Mate.
And he flashes. Does he live? Yeah, he lives.
Do it. Oh, he didn't flash, okay. Zombie had flashed. I'm like, surely. But there's no point wasting his flash right there. So, again, as we're going to see on the replay, they see that tiny window where Tempest is all alone, has to burn both of his summoners. But that clutch ultimate with the graviton keeping 3 members stuck on the ground, and then the Gallia flying in with its own. Absolutely beautiful. Of course, Indecision was like, guys, I'm helping, gets the last hit right there. But the most clutch scenario is that Zombie is Megana. He joins this fight as Megana. So the second Trick tried to make any move again. Tempest stays alive. Zombie pins them on the wall. And Indecision right there is like, guys, I helped you in this fight. It's my time to end. Just goes in for the golems because he's Graves. That's what Graves does. Just greaves for minions, basically.
I just noticed as well, Flipper's Rift Herald was timed out. He just didn't get to use that.
What?
At all.
Oh, no.
So that's just a massive loss as the plates fall off as well. They're not going to be able to get any plate gold. I believe they haven't actually taken a single plate, maybe 1 top at best. But realistically, Tricked are playing on the back foot right now as Silk jumps in forwards with the rocket belt. Is going to get himself a swirl seed to the face. And Tempest is just farming towers right now.
It's everything for that fellas, right? He's already got his Kraken Slayer. He's extremely strong. He can get these fights. He has the Gallia around him. He has the Thresh around him. QuickTime bailed him out the situation together with Silk so well in that previous fight. And he's going to have to, of course, be much more cautious about his positioning because both of his summoners are down. If you look on the side of Tricked, they have no summoners either. You cannot approach the Aphelios if you don't have summoners to get on him. You had summoners before and you couldn't do it. So it's going to be extremely difficult to try and reach Tempest, and he's still got his call on him. He hasn't been able to cash in yet. He's been taking towers one after the other. This Aphelios is rich.
Yeah, he is so big. Once that coal cashes in as well, gets a bunch of extra gold. 6,600 gold
2K
earned for him at the moment. It is a 2K gold lead. It is pretty big. And this was the worry, you know, about picking the Civirs. It takes quite a lot of time to get going, and with the fact that they were investing so much towards the top side, sure, Nilly has himself a 1,200 gold lead over Zombie, but I don't know if that's enough to really make up for the fact that Tempest finished the Kraken Slayer, got himself the buildings of that Hurricane as well, where Achuse just sitting on components is probably somewhat close, if not finishing the Mythic on this base here. Still, not what you want.
This is really sad actually from Tricked, because in 30 seconds, the Dragon will come up, and Godsent are actually sitting so close to Soul Point, and you don't want to give it away because then Soul comes up, and it's going to be Oceans. It's going to be that much harder to try and kill Tempest. And we talked about this. We talked about how hard it is for Godsent to pull out these fights because they just don't have that much damage to them. But Tempest has been popping. He has the damage up front. He doesn't need to build it anymore.
Yeah, he really does.
He's playing frontline.
He is playing with fire right now. It's the Lilting Lullaby is going to go in. There's the ulti. Baloo looks to jump in into the hook, into the 4-man shot. That's what they needed. That's the assassination. And it's a double kill already for Nilly. Able to jump away to safety. Zombie can't even get into the fight.
Oh no, it's still continuing. There's 3 members of Tricked being extremely low, and Zombie's just about to hit Megana. There's still Graves around, there's still Gallia around. Ultimates are up and available, especially the Gallia one is going to be crucial. But who's gonna let Graves walk close enough? No one. Zombie?
The smite comes in, they get the Znar, they get everything thrown onto him. Flipper has to go golden to dodge away from Silk, but Silk will catch him with the taunt. No, he flashes away to safety. The Colossal Smash is enough to find the kill, but Paulson cashes in on another. It's a 2-for-1 at the end of the long fight.
Oh,
and the Dragon secured for Tricked.
I hope we get a replay from that because QuickTime messed up big time. You see Baloo ready to charge in. He pulls him in and flays him, giving him that 4-man shockwave. That was apt. That is not what you want to do. You cannot flay the Rakan in. You need to flay the Rakan out. That was a little bit misstand right there for QuickTime. It cost his ADC's life right there. But then again, Tricked found the opening. They found the trigger. They got that 4-man shockwave, and they managed to take away the soul point from the side of Godsent. Oh, that broke my... That play broke my heart, He-Brain. He broke my heart. I'm pretty sure it broke Enter's heart.
Well, now the Gale Force is finished up for Achu. Just finished that on this base, but still pretty behind M-Test. Got the Leandries for Poulsen. Nearly still away from what I expect to be the Triforce. Pretty much what we see on most Aurelias. And it is the Moonstone build from Flipper. I've seen a lot more Leandries recently.
Yes, for the top lane. That is insane.
It's big. He's closing in on a Flame Horizon. We're only 18 minutes in.
Yeah. Nile is kind of like a lane kingdoming as M-Test and QuickTimer were doing in the bot lane. It's pretty much what we expected to see, right? It was going to be the bot lane from the side of Godsent versus the top lane from the side of Tricked, Flipper and Nile. And now they're just trying to get the map open so they can try and fight for that vision and get the further dragons. Because again, Godsent is still one dragon away from Soul. You cannot give them that. Ocean is going to be extremely huge onto that Aphelios. Keep your eyes peeled on the Summoners on Baloo. This is going to be extremely important because if there's any way you can catch the backline, it is with this Rakan. We saw it in the previous engage. They managed to get the Rakan, they get the Shockwave.
M-Test pulled out the Gravitum there, but didn't actually fire anything. He's got an entire item over a Chew. Most of the Triforce finished up for Nilly right now. So should have that fairly soon. That's going to give a nice bunch of attack speed to him. But it feels like the brakes have been put on here. Tricked. They were able to pull back what was starting to be a bit of a snowballing deficit. It's now very close to gold between the teams. Obviously, the individual gold tells a completely different story, as M-Test is miles ahead of Achi.
Yeah.
But the gold itself is still close. You still have a very,
I think they balance it out, right? M-Test and Nile sort of balance out the goal differences between the bot lane and the top lane. And it's about who can carry the most. Is it going to be the side lane Aurelia or is it going to be the team fight Aphelios? And that completely depends on how Godsent is going to choose to take their fights, because you cannot be careless, again, with your positioning when you're Aphelios. And QuickTimer is going to have to really think what happened in the previous fight so it never happens again. On the other side, Zombie is going to have to look over his shoulder the entire time. Because you see that Flipper is shadowing that Aurelia every single time. If they can manage to pick Zombie on a side lane, this is the engage gone from the head of Godsent. If that Mega Nut is not there, then Trick can do whatever they like in a fight.
I'd really like to see as the next item from M-Test, a QSS. I think that is the best item you can buy right now to deal with this Lilia, because that is pretty much the long-range engage they have. Is you get hit by the Swirl Seed, you get put to sleep, and everyone just pops their R and runs at you.
Let's see.
So
will he listen
I'd like
to you?
To see.
Will he listen to you? It's the faker.
Damage. He wants to go damage.
I mean, at this point, I don't blame him, right? I don't blame him. He has both his summoners up and available. He should not be caught from anything in the next fight. Dragon is up in 1 minute. He's farmed. He's trying to stack up as much damage as possible. The Graves is tanky. The Na is starting to become extremely tanky. The Galio is doing enough damage at this point. So it's all up to M-Test to output the most damage he needs in a fight to win it for them. The entire Tricked roster is extremely squishy. If he free fires, it's a free win.
If he free fires.
If he free fires.
The big if. The wave's getting shoved into him. And this does mean Trick now can move into this jungle, into this river, sorry, and get all the control of the vision if they want. Swirl Seed, once again, dodged away very close. Flipper kind of playing with fire a little bit there. Does obviously have teammates nearby. They are just looking for a light bit of poke.
They just can't get in. It's Tricked again, moving in on the map. They push the wave. They're getting the priority into the bot side river. They're trying to zone away Godsent. Godsent's going to have to face check if they want to go and contest for that dragon. And Tricked are doing a great job at like pushing consistently the waves mid. I think Godsent kind of gave up on this dragon. They're just pulling back.
I mean, this is the power of the Orianna plus Lilia, where you just get so much kind of zone control. And then the Sivir just has so much wave clear that it's really easy to push up and then move in and just control an area. Now, Zombie's getting some free time top side, so it does look like they are going to sacrifice the dragon for some damage on this tower. I thought it was getting close towards the tower actually going down, but the Chu makes his way over to clear out the wave, and Flipper will be able to pick this one up.
At this point, I really wish they just gave Aphelios every farm in the jungle as well. Like the top side of Indecision's jungle is up. Just give him all the farm, get him as far ahead as possible. Are they going to sneak the back? Surely not. You cannot. Yeah,
So there's still a blue on a
just
two.
just take all of the farm. Just take all of Indecision's jungle at this point. Indecision is tanky enough. He has his shield bow. He's very close to that bloodthirst. Just give everything to that Aphelios. Get him as strong as possible. Because at the end of the day, it's all up to Emtess to carry. I keep on repeating the same thing, but no one else in the side of Godsent can output the damage that this Aphelios can. So he is all they have. We said it from the start.
Oh, hold on. There's the Drowsy. Protobelt used as well, as they are looking for a bit of damage onto Silk. It's not going to be enough as Sleep pops before a 2 can even get the auto in, and Silk
This is it though,
able to
right?
clear the wave.
That's the engage. Emtess can walk forward. You said that the only engage that could catch Emtess off guard is a Lilia Seed hitting and then Sleep going down. And now this is not there anymore, so they can actually walk forward. They can walk into this river. They can try to get the vision that they want. And they have 2 ADCs with them. That Baron will go down super fast. They can abuse the fact that Lilia used her ultimate to take possibly Baron down.
And that's the crab falling as well, so it's a bit of permanent vision. Perfect timing for Godsent to go for that play. There's a bit of chickens getting played here. The blind is going to land into the hook, into the flay, and that's going to be the Galioir pulled already. Baloo pops the quickness onto the backline. Flipper looking for Emtess, but doesn't have the ult quite yet. Chu has to run away. Here's Nilly onto that side. Moonlight Vigil gets thrown out. Doesn't actually hit anyone as Baloo's looking for the opening. Vanguard's Edge has been thrown out for the moment. Zombie not even got the Gnar form Yeti, and Quicktimer will lose his life. Nilly goes down as well, though, and Zombie comes in with the Stride Breaker. Shockwave lands onto Emtess. It's a double kill, though, picked up for him. And Poulsen caught out by the Gnar. The wallop is big, and he has nowhere to go. That's the shutdown, and that is 4 members of Trick's down.
Emtess did not even have to flash in this fight. No one was even near to taking him down. Eyes onto the Rakan. Indecision does not have Smite available to him. We've seen Barons going down with a tornado from Janna. He's not even going to try. They don't know if Graves has Smite or not. That was beautifully played by the side of Godsent. Again, Flipper using that ultimate, we said it was most likely going to cost them the Baron. Now here they have to face check, and Orianna just walks way too forward. Poulsen has to actually flash out this fight, which means they don't have the wombo combo potential. Flipper is way too far ahead. Melee tries to get into this fight, but just no one can reach the backline. Emtess is just free hitting shot after shot after shot, and no one is actually focusing him. Only the shockwave hits, but that is just a little bit too little, too late, because it's just Poulsen alive.
Trick, they've done such a good job to pull themselves back into what was starting to be a pretty hairy situation, and then kind of just yeeted out the window, to be honest. Flipper not having R, I think, from that fight, and Emtess just being completely uncontested. Really, really rough stuff there. As Nilly got the Triforce, got the Blade of the Ruined King, building towards that Sterix, but I mean, you just got to look at the Infinity Edge, the Hurricane, the Kraken Slayer on Emtess. He's got a stopwatch as well.
He's got the whole
really is going to make it
years
harder to kill. And like you said as well, Emtess never flashed in that last fight, so he's still got his flash.
Oh, he's very safe right now. He's dodging balls right and left. He's able to actually walk forward and be the front line. He is dangerous at this point, and they have no one that can reach the backline. Miller can try, but the Thresh is there, and Galio is there. And the only time that they managed to get Emtess was when his summoners were down, and Baloo was able to deliver the bomb with Shockwave at the backline. If that doesn't happen, if Baloo doesn't get the big wombo combo ultimate, it's really tough for Trick to get back there.
Now they've lost all vision of the area. Now, luckily for them, they've picked up 2 dragons, so no, we're not looking at Soul or an Elder yet.
It's going to be a late Elder, if anything.
It's going to be a very late Elder. I don't even know if we'll see an Elder, to be honest. We're 26 minutes into this game, and with the Baron here, Godsent have taken down all but one of the last towers outside of the base now. Top lane, the only one standing, as the Chu is going to clutch that wave before it even gets close to crashing.
The Trick bot lane has been so quiet this entire game. And this is what's a little bit scary, because they're always very, very, very consistent. But when they pop off, for example, with the Ashe Maokai, it just all goes so much more smooth for Trick. And right now, they've been extremely quiet. The Severe has been constantly trying to catch up to the Aphelios. And at this point, you're never going to catch up to him because he's miles away. He's also miles away from the teamfights, right? Because you can't catch him in the teamfights either. So it's just so tough for Trick to play this. They need to try and salvage the situation by sending people the side lanes, by hoovering farm wherever it comes. And right now with Godsent taking Soul Point as well, it's going to be extremely tough because you're going to have to come out of your base at some point. You can't defend for all this time. 5 minutes from now, it's going to be Ocean Soul for Godsent. They have all the vision in the world. They have all the pressure in the wall. They have all the towers outside Trick's base. They're going to need big wombo combo coming out from Baloo to win a fight.
Yeah, and it's weird because for me, it's like when normally we're in this kind of point of the game, I normally ask, you know, what's the win condition? The win condition normally is, okay, they just got to find a pick. But there's still a wombo combo. Like, it's not just a pick. They actually could still effectively team fight. It's about how well they navigate that team fight, I think, is the key thing. They can't, you know, get individually caught out. They can't not focus M-Test. They need to make sure that they do actually navigate these fights well, because Achu is starting to get pretty strong. Now, is down a little bit in items, and M-Test is going to be even harder. Got the flash, got the heal, now got a stopwatch and a QSS. So M-Test is super hard to kill when you factor in the fact there's a Galio and a Fresh keeping him alive as well. It's going to be a rough one, but it's not like they don't have the tools to work with. You've got 3 items on your Orianna. You've got 3 items on your Aurelia. It's just a real execution thing here. This could be it.
This is where it happened before, right? M-Test in the mid lane. Baloo gets the huge ult. Oh.
Gets sped up, jumps over the wall as Zombie's about to gnaw out, so this is probably the worst time to go for a fight. I think they recognize that, so they are just going to look to pack him away.
The problem here is that the push becomes a little bit too hard because Orianna can wave clear very well, Sivir can wave clear very well. So if you don't have Baroned up minions, you cannot necessarily stay in this lane forever. You see that Silk has to actually pull out when Nilla is there. So yes, they're pushing lanes, but ultimately what they're doing is they're feeding CS back to Trick, which is what Trick wants. Trick wants feeding lanes to them until there's an objective backup and available. This is going to be in 1 minute, the Baron. This is where Godsent take all of the resets. That gives time to Trick to move into at least their own jungle to try and take some ground, because if this Baron goes down, they won't be able to wave clear anymore, which means in 3 minutes time, the soul will go down and everything will snowball way out of control for Godsent.
Absolutely. Now they are picking up a crab for Flipper, so giving a little bit of vision permanently in the area for the moment. Which will be up for the Baron, so that's actually good timing for them. I think Trick now just looking for their last resets, knowing that this is probably going to be a deciding fight. They've been actually funneling a lot of farm into Achu. He's been taking a bunch of these jungle camps, and because of that, he's actually not massively far behind in M-Test and CS numbers. And thanks to the fact that he's got that extra assist, his KDA is pretty much exactly the same. Actually, it's identical.
There's a high chance he gets an Infinity Edge now that he backs, because like you mentioned, he's been hoovering side lanes. There you go. He's been hoovering side lanes. He's been hoovering the jungle. They need to try and get him on that 3-item power spike on that Sivir to try and get that fight. It's most likely going to be the last one. If they take the Baron and they kill members of Trick, they can literally just run it down mid and end the game at this point, or at least take multiple inhibitors, which then will give them a free reign over the dragon. It's a snowball effect from now on. Flipper,
that's not where you wanted to be. He's caught out by indecision. And again, Baron is handed over because Trick do not respect the Fog of War. They don't respect the fresh hooks and the pick potential. And now they have to face Checkers 4 without their Lilia, without their sleep. And the hook is going to land onto the key member. They do get a 2-man stun. Here comes the pop-up. Achu's already killed Quick Timer. Baron is continuing to be kept alive, though. And Godsent now down a member. It's support for jungler, though. And they used a lot to get that one pick. But they do still have that shockwave. Poulsen needs to find a really, really big trigger here to try and get himself the opening. Nearly dashes forward. Looks for the stun. Looks for that opportunity to go in. But he's not going to be able to find it. The Baron is secured. Members inside the pit. And Stilk's going to have to flash the bush. But honestly, Flipper, that was such bad positioning.
Yeah, they need to start being extremely careful. I think this has been back-to-back where Trick are really trying to take control over the Baron area, but they're given the time. When Godsent backs, they have the most time in the world to walk in there and get some vision control. You need to get blue wards if you can't do that, but you can't be going that close because the jungle going down is a guaranteed Baron. Even if the shockwave is there, even if Nili is there on the Aurelia, you still have the smite up and available and indecision. So yes, Quick Timer right here will sacrifice his life, but he gives Baron to his team, which is is much more valuable to be able to push all these lanes. And look at that, in a couple of seconds, the Dragon is coming up as well, and Godsent are really trying to take vision over that, right? Trick are trying to take vision over that so they don't give the soul away, and Godsent like, right, you're going for vision, we're just gonna go for mid lane.
They do have a Sivir, so mid lane inhibitor, as long as this isn't the game closer, is actually enough for them to work with. And Blue actually going to pop the R here. The hook's going to go wide, gets himself the two-man knock-up. Flipper looks to jump in. Two members stunned already. Vanguard's edge has been used. Paulson waiting for that shockwave onto members as Nilly's able to take out Quick Timer. Nilly able to jump away to safety as the Moonlight Vigil is going to land, and that's going to be enough to pop the Sterix. Nilly will get locked down for the moment, but able to get back and heal. The waves get cleared away, and Tricked walk away with a kill. As actually, there was a flash used, I think, on the other side. Yeah.
Woo.
Still almost got killed.
So here's the thing, Sivir really starts hurting right now. So if you want to start taking fights in really small choke points with a severe Ricochet, oh, no indecision.
Oh, can he get it? Nilly's going to buy some time by using that stopwatch. Jumps backwards onto Indecision. Indecision gets his shield off to keep himself alive from the Immortal Shield bow. They're going to have to force the recall out of the Galio. Does have the teleport to rejoin this fight. Remember, this is Soul. This is so important. But no Aurelia. Dragon's going to get started up. They've got the teleports. They're going to start to bring members in. Can this get secured in time? Silk is here. Zombie about to Gnar out. Flipper now inside the pit all alone. It's going to use the stopwatch as the Gnar is used. The ultimate gets used as well. Zombie jumps in forwards. That's going to be a double kill. Picked up for Indecision. The Soul to boot. And the longest range hook I've ever seen as Quick Timer lands it. And M-Test gets the kill. Chu, the only one standing. Nearly up in 18 seconds, but this could just be game.
Oh, this is most definitely game. There's still Baron up onto the Graves and the Galio. They do have minions in the base. It's only Sivir up and available 9 seconds for Nile, but I don't think it's going to matter versus 5 members. Tricked played a gamble right there. They tried to go for the 50-50 on the Soul, and they lost. They're just waiting literally for the next Baron up minion wave. I think this is way over Hitbrain.
It's going to have to be a miracle play coming out. Blue is alive. Vanguard's edge has been used. Zombie's getting chunked. He's looking to jump in under the tower. Multiple members stunned up and a Chu free firing. The tower getting the damage done, but it's not going to be enough. Zombie jumps in forwards. The Nexus will fall, and Godsent take out Tricked.
Godsent are actually on fire. The fact that they're able to translate that bot lane kingdom every time into a victory is actually mesmerizing. M-Test and Quick Timer in the bot lane have been the stars of Godsent, but also the macro around the team. We talked about the top lane, how Zombie was going to suffer. He's like, fine, I'm going to suffer, but then when I get into team fights with my Stride Breaker and Steraks, I'm going to be extremely useful compared to the Aurelia that can't reach my backline. So all in all, they just went all in for the composition. They bet all their money onto that Aphelios, and they're actually rich.
Honestly, amazing game there from Godsent to pull that win out versus Tricked. I think there was a couple of questionable decisions, like positional mistakes, I think, for Tricked need to look back at, i.e. that one bush on the way to Baron where they got caught twice in a row and lost the fight off the back of it. But Godsent, like you said, bot lane kingdom, and as Gulborg says, win lane, win game. Now, anyway, it's time for some ads, and you can have a look at that, or you can go for a wee. I don't know. See you in a second.
Touches me If you wanna find love, then you gotta have faith. The world is on your side. The world is on your side. If you wanna find love, then you got to have faith. The world will be your guide. The world will be your guide. No, I don't care. No one can tear you down. We'll lift you up. It's about here and now. Yeah, you're gonna find love. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night.
Welcome back, and that proved to be a banger in its truest form. We wanted to see, obviously, Godsent step up here. They needed to step up because if they didn't, then obviously their chances of playoffs were going to start to slip away. And this was a game that, you know, they needed to win, but also Trick needed to win to guarantee playoffs. Godsent came out swinging. Now, I think before we break down the game a little more, I'm actually going to bring Indecision, the jungler, in to chat to him. So, Indecision, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Hello, hello.
Hey, mate. Okay, first of all, massive congrats, because that has put you on track to, you know, keep your playoff dreams alive with Godsent, which I think, you know, going back a few weeks, none of us would have even really thought was possible, but you've massively, like, stepped up towards the end of the season. This group is shaped up to be crazy. First of all, the draft. I want to talk a little bit about your fourth pick, Red Side. You went for Gnar. Why did you go for Gnar there when Nile hadn't taken anything? Is it because you thought he was going to blind pick Gnar, or is it because you were confident he was going to pick Irelia and you had an idea for it?
Originally, we thought that they were going to pick Gnar because of just how they were drafting. They needed kind of this engage top laner that was also like good in lane. So, and we also wanted to play Gnar. Like it's kind of best of both worlds we got there. We took their pick and then we picked for ourselves. So yeah.
And when you saw Nile bring the Irelia, were you concerned, or did you just think it was something you were able to deal with?
No, we've faced Irelia a lot in scrims actually, and we were pretty confident that if we play fights correctly, we would win every fight. So.
And what was your focus this game, as you know, in terms of jungling? Where were you looking to play through? I saw a lot of pressure bot. Was that kind of the lane that you really thought you wanted to snowball to get the win?
Yeah, our plan was to play through mid because we knew Galio can get prio into Orianna, so we just used our mid pressure to deny bot as much as we can and get our bot lane ahead.
And obviously worked because you absolutely started smurfing with the Aphelios later in the game, and obviously now you are, I think you're 4-4 overall, so you've got one more game coming up, which I believe is versus XL. How much are you prepping for that game? Have you guys put a lot of work into figuring out how you're going to approach XL?
Yeah, we are putting all forces into that game. We are going to make sure that we do as much prep as we can and just play our best, try to win.
I hope you guys, I wish you the best of luck as well, because I think you guys have had a massive resurgence in the second half of the split here, and you know, you've definitely proven a lot of people wrong. The entire analyst desk and everybody predicted Tricked, and you clearly upset that in this game. So I mean, massive congrats there, and I do hope that you have a good game versus XL later in the week. I'll get to speak to you soon.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Looking incredibly chilled. He was very chilled out after that game, but it is a big win for Godsent. Don't let Indecision's face tell you otherwise. It was a massive win for the team, and a necessary win for the team. Now, Gulborg, Professor Gulborg, I get to say that again. It's been a while since I've got to say Professor Gulborg. Take us through your play of the match.
I will, and it's in a scenario where, you know, there's only 1k gold lead really separating these two teams, so it's really, everything is still up for grabs, but in terms of map state right now, you can see Godsent is clearing out all of the vision, and as Tricked, you've just seen them clear up all of the vision. You know that this area is no longer yours to take, just because that you don't actually have your blue trinkets up yet either. So that's one of the crucial parts why they want to walk in and face check. But problem with this being is that you have a Riona, you have a ball. Like, I don't get how you go in with this pick, but it's beautiful setup from QuickTime and Indecision, ready to pull the go bottom immediately. And you can see the fight has been called for because TPs are coming in from Nille, but the fight is so split here on two fronts. Poulsen can't realistically come in and take a shockwave onto a team fight where he wants to, and the rest of them are just getting cleaned up. Nille does get some good damage down, but as I said, it's so split, and when the shockwave finally comes down, it's only onto the M-test. Throughout this whole fight, Nah didn't even have Mecha, and it doesn't really come down to how the fight was played out. It was down to the setup. It was down to that it was always going to be in favor of Godsent, and I'm actually just going to pause it here because they will end up getting Baron, and they end up running away with the game. It came from the pressure, it came from the vision, and then we started taking that objective. So PVO, get the book.
PVR.
Guys, I would love to talk about the game a little bit more, but as you might be able to hear, it's not only Trick that's baby raging right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it to a quick break. We have our second game of the day coming away, another really important one for Group A, and we'll see you soon.